Welcome to the Awakened Human Podcast, the place to be for highly progressive yet extremely grounded intuitive guidance, energetic support, metaphysical tools, and higher consciousness for highly successful, ambitious, soul-centered visionaries and leaders like you who want to make a global impact and achieve your highest fulfillment by aligning with your soul's true divine agenda and your role in God's plan of lighted creation, and by utilizing your divine gifts, talents, and abilities from the higher realms. We do this by working with the non-physical realms of higher guidance, energy, intuition, and powerful metaphysical tools for healing and transformation. We understand that the real change and transformation that's being called for on planet Earth and in our own lives and our own businesses doesn't come from outside of us, but rather from within. And that the change that we desire to experience in our lives and in our world requires us to change from the inside. I'm your host, Lori Ann Spagna. I'm a best-selling author, spiritual catalyst, intuitive, energy worker, ascension guide, multidimensional channel, animal communicator, visionary, lightworker, and luminary. I have dedicated my entire professional life to helping thousands and thousands of humans and animals all over the world in service and contribution to the light, which is the expansion, the upliftment, the evolution of humanity, to awaken, to uplift, and to align with our true divine source, which exists within each and every one of us. It is my passion, joy, and purpose to share this information, energy, and consciousness with you. Thank you so much for being here today and for sharing time with me. Let's get started. Well, hello, all you magnificent beings. Today, I am going to share something that I think is a hopefully page turner game changer for you on your journey. So welcome. Welcome to the Awakened Elevated Human Podcast. I'm happy and grateful to be with you today, and thank you for choosing to spend time with me today. So I am on the road traveling, as many of you know, and one of the things I've been working through as I've been restoring myself and finding my new physical location, which may take another couple of months, but while I'm on the journey, is I teach a class. It's actually a full course inside of the Sacred Membership. It's a fabulous class, and it talks all about the archetypes and archetypical patterns. And from an intuitive point of view, it's really important to understand these, especially if you want to be a healer. You kind of have to understand and see how people's patterns play out in their lives. And most of the time, those patterns are archetypes. For example, if I say the word techie, you understand what techie means, like a techie. You're a nerd, right? And what is that? It's not who the person is, but they may identify as that, or they may not even know. Like a nerdy guy could want to meet a woman, and he can't understand why he can't meet a woman, and he doesn't understand he's falling into this archetypical pattern of nerdy, the nerd, or the techie, and it's just a behavioral pattern and an archetypical pattern, and he can change the pattern, and he can become, the cool hip guy who gets all the women, right? I'm just using this as an example. But when you understand these archetypical patterns and how they play out in your life, and especially if you are a healer or an intuitive and you want to be able to recognize them when they play out in others, it really can be a game changer for you. And the reason it's relevant even to what's been going on, because I was evaluating some of the archetypical patterns that were playing out with a lot of the people that I was interacting with, and even in my own self. And through my own healing journey, I had to look at some of these. So this is going to be a 2-part series. The first is going to be the key archetypical patterns that you really want to embrace or awaken to in your journey, especially if you are, a highly ambitious intuitive, or a highly ambitious visionary, or a person who wants to make change in the world. Understanding the key archetypes. And really, you need the bigger picture of all of them, but it's so critical. So this will be the first. And then the next one will be some of the terror archetypes that you want to avoid or recognize when they come up. They're kind of like the petty tyrants of the world. And you need to see them too when you're interacting with them, because if they're showing up in yourself or in someone you work with, someone you're serving or helping, like as an entrepreneur, solopreneur, business person, you need to recognize and identify them, because the fastest way to avoid challenges is to see these archetypical patterns, and you can know how to deal with them when they come at you. The fastest way to really start to embrace the greatness within you is to really harness on those archetypical patterns that you want to become more of. So I hope this makes sense. This is where I'm going with the next 2 podcast episodes. I've also been promising an episode on self-trust, and I really want to do that for you, and also an episode on finding your core frequency. So those are ahead. Stay tuned. All right, but with that, let's do these archetypes first. Let me say, you have an inner family, right? And I'm not talking about those today because that's in the class, the Archetypes course, which is inside of the Sacred Membership. There's so many full courses in there that are just so good. But the Archetypes course is really one of the great ones in there. I mean, I think they're all great. But this part is not necessarily, it's an adjunct, right? And your inner family, I'll just breeze through this really fast because this is in that course. You have an inner sage, you have an inner child, you have an inner parent, you have an inner warrior, you have an inner rebel, you have an inner peacemaker. Like those are your inner family, those archetypical patterns. They're all within you. You need to cultivate and work with all of them. And that class is all about that. But this is really for business, career, life success. It's slightly different, and it's an adjunct to that. I could easily add this episode to that class. So first, let's say this. You have an inner manifester magician, right? And I learned about this archetype from one of the ascended masters, who is known as, oh my God, Merlin. Sorry, Merlin. Merlin is a master manifester, and he's a master magician. And he had that archetype, right? He took on that archetype and he started working with it. Now, there are other ascended masters who are master magicians, master manifestors, but that's not necessarily what they're most famous for. So, you can tap into the wisdom of Merlin. That's a separate podcast too, but you do need an inner mastery. You need to cultivate this within yourself to manifest with mastery. And your inner magician or manifester knows how to do that. Because if you don't have that tool in this lifetime, you're going to be operating from a place of powerlessness, especially as we evolve. So the inner manifester or inner magician is the one who knows how to alchemize, manifest and materialize into form that which you desire, beyond just the physical work hard, slave hard mentality. By the way, you likely have an inner slave driver too, but we're not talking about that one today. So in my own journey of healing that I've been sharing about over the past few weeks, I was working through this. I was like, where did my manifester part of me go? I have to reclaim that and reawaken it, because I was just in so much slave driver over the last year and a half, close to 2 years. So this is part of what I've been working through over the last months of being on the road and reclaiming and recovering and rehealing and cultivating again that inner manifester, that inner ability to alchemize, right? And whether you call it the alchemist within you, the manifester, the magician, it's a slight variation, but that archetypical pattern and those abilities within you, they're within you. You have to learn how to do it. But the learning is beyond the brain. The brain learning is an important part of it, right? We do this in Sacred Visionary and in the membership. But learning beyond the brain is really the archetypical pattern that steps into its mastery. And of course, it's within you. So there is left brain learning, but then there's actual experience, discovery, and playing that has to bring that out so you can manifest into reality the desires that you have to live your best life and to live your highest fulfillment, and to really bring into the state of reality the desires that you want to experience. Because if you don't understand that archetypical pattern within you and how to use it and how to work with it and how to play with it and how to alchemize, that means you're stuck in a 3D reality, right? In the old physical world where things aren't possible. That's the way that works. So that is archetypical pattern number one. Number two, and these are the 5 winners, right? The lover. And the lover is, this isn't the same as, by the way, in the tarot card deck, the card deck of the lovers, which is often misinterpreted. But the lovers often has to do with duality or choice or balance of feminine, masculine, depends on how you interpret that card and everything that it means. But this isn't about that. This is about the inner archetype that knows how to love and love self, love reality. Even if you're not necessarily loving everything that's going on in your life, or even if you don't necessarily like or approve of everything that's going on in the world, in order for you to have and experience your best life and even work with potentially clients or students or people in your business or your life that you don't necessarily like or enjoy necessarily. You won't like everybody. You won't love everybody. You need to work with the inner lover, that archetypical pattern, so that you can love and accept even those that you don't love and accept, and even those experiences. So I don't love and accept everything going on in the world, but my inner lover can absolutely love and accept everyone and everything exactly as it is. That's an archetypical pattern, and it's a part of who I am that I have cultivated. Now, of course, I've used DNA activations to awaken that part of me. I've also used DNA activations to awaken the different codes that allow for that, such as magnanimity. I've learned about this. I've explored it. I've developed it for years and years. It's not something that just gets turned on. It's not just something the brain can do. In fact, the brain really doesn't know how to do this. Even the heart doesn't know how to do it, the brain matter in the heart. But through awakening these parts within us and cultivating this ability and learning how to, combined with direct experience, being in experiences where you are loved and accepted even when you're not perfect, where you are loved and accepted even when you make mistakes, being in the presence of beings that allow you to cultivate this inner archetypical pattern within yourself, it helps you to function in this world in a whole new and better way. And it extracts you from the lower timeline experiences that are less desirable, where there's a lot more conflict, where there's a lot more challenge and upset, where duality is at odds right now, right? And people are having to go through very difficult experiences. I did too, to reawaken this part of us. It's within us. So it's that ability within you. Now, again, it's not learned through the left brain. You can't just listen to this podcast to become a master at it. But you just by understanding this as an archetypical pattern, at least it's opening doors for you. And of course, I always say this, you're welcome to join us in Sacred Visionary or in the Sacred Membership to learn more and to develop it within yourself. Okay, so those are the first two. Third one, you need to develop within yourself. So important is the inner sage. And this is one of your inner family members, of course. But the sage is the wise one, right? Now you could call this the inner wisdom keeper, your inner wise one. However you identify this archetypical pattern, it is within you. And this part of you has answers, wisdom, guidance, clarity, knowledge, tools, talents. But in most of us, it's very dormant. We're not really using it. Why? Because we've been taught to give our power, our consent, and our authority to external teachers, leaders, clergy people, religious people, government officials, etc., doctors, big one, medical practitioners. So, I've had people come into my sacred mentorship and into my classes and retreats where they're constantly we give our power away to psychics and healers even. they're constantly looking to me to say, is it going to be okay? Is it going to be okay? Am I going to be able to do this? Always, the power is within you to do it and to create it. You need your inner manifester. You need your inner lover. You need your inner sage, your inner wise one, to help you find the solutions that you're seeking, to find the answers, and to know how to find and navigate and what's for your best. And this inner sage not only has the answers, but knows what's possible for you and knows how to connect with your higher consciousness and the divinity that you are. And when you start awakening that part within yourself, you start having more confidence, more certainty, more knowing, right? But that part has been very shut down in that old paradigm. So we have to really cultivate this and learn how to utilize it, not so we're just blindly saying, oh, I have an inner sage. It's not the brain. You see, so much more than the brain. So again, this is cultivated over time, but we all have it and we have to develop it and learn how to use this part of ourselves, not only awaken it, but utilize it with a kind of mastery. So that is an archetypical pattern that's within you that you can develop and cultivate, right? That's your inner sage. And this becomes not only an aspect of who you are and the wholeness of who you are, but something you just naturally and organically can call upon, as with all the archetypical patterns when we develop them, right? So, okay, I hope that's helpful. The next one I want to go into is the inner king, queen, or sovereign. And this part is so important, right? The king or the queen or the sovereign claims sovereignty. I've taught about this for the longest time. You have to claim sovereignty from that old paradigm. And there's so many things you can claim sovereignty over. People who don't have good sleep can claim sovereignty over their sleep space. When you have scary dreams, sovereignty over your dream time. You can claim sovereignty over your body when you think somebody is trying to force you to stick something into your body or take something. Anytime you feel forced, it's because that sovereign in you has not been cultivated. And in a reality, that old paradigm where people are being forced to do things, oftentimes against their free will, it's because they haven't really claimed their inner sovereign. Or you could call it your king or your queen, but it's your right as an individual being. And it's not just the inner sovereign that you're free, but it's also that you have the vision to create a life of your dreams, that you have the right, that you're worthy and deserving, because that king, queen archetype or inner sovereign knows this. They have a vision for yourself, right? And this is visionaries. We're visionaries. We understand there's some greater plan for humanity. You must understand there's a greater plan for your life. And it's not just your guides or something external that's shaping that. It's you as a conscious participant, a conscious co-creator. So understanding and having that, and then working in harmony with the sage, with the inner sage or the inner wisdom keeper, working in harmony with the lover, working within you, working in harmony with the alchemist, or, you could call it the alchemist or the manifester or the magician, right? All these archetypes need to come into harmony together, to work together. So, and yes, you have to have a vision, because part of why you don't have a life that you really are dreaming of, if you don't, is because chances are you don't have the vision in place, right? This is part of what I'm reclaiming, in the time that I'm away from work, traveling and just doing only that which I enjoy, which again, go back over the other episodes if you haven't heard them, because there's a series to these episodes that's playing out. So really reclaiming that. And this could also be identified you could identify this in the tarot as the emperor, the empress. You could identify it as well as oh goodness, there's another card, which is my card, and I always forget the name of it. But anyway, it'll come to me. So, okay, I hope this makes sense. I want to give you one more that I haven't addressed yet that's really, really important. And that's the inner warrior. And the inner warrior, this is one that really, in a way, gets squashed by our need to function in this world in harmony. Like if you're a person like me who really values harmony, right? My inner warrior needed to come out, right? It's the one who knows how to stand up for your right to exist, your right to matter, your right to stand up and defend yourself if or when attacked, or to claim victory in your life over life circumstances, to claim victory. And you could call this the victor, it's the part of you that's not going to be a victim. It's the one who's going to become victorious. So no matter what challenges, obstacles, or hurdles you face in your life, right? We know about the victim archetype, but the flip of the victim is the victor. And that is your inner warrior who is victorious and stands up and says yes, and knows that you matter, your life matters, what you're here to offer matters. And that really can say, I have a reason for being here. And what I'm here to share, offer is valuable, and my life is valuable, right? So that is your inner warrior. And of course, that part of you works in conjunction with the king or the queen. Sometimes the king goes to battle and he's the warrior, but he's still the king, right? So whether you're a queen, king, it's the same archetypical pattern, just overall, right? You might relate more as the feminine or the masculine, but it's the same pattern, right? Same thing with the warrior or warrior goddess, right? You're victorious, right? As a, warrior goddess, warrior. And that aspect, you don't always want to be fighting. That's not the role. The role is to claim victory in your life over whatever's going on, whatever shadow aspects you might be facing, right? Whatever challenges or hurdles or obstacles might present, especially during this time. I get it. There's, just in the United States, there's so much shakeup going on right now. So the transformation has to happen from within so that the external world is not claiming dominion over you, right? I have a friend who works for the government. There's a lot of shakeups happening there. I have another friend who's got real health challenges. There are shakeups happening in the health-related world, financial challenge, whatever it is. Your inner warrior wants to be victorious. So by working with all these inner archetypes together, we bring them together and work with them as a unique expression of the self, all working in harmony together. I've only selected a few as it relates to the business world and success in your life. There's lots more. They are all definitely, they're all in the Archetypes class, which is inside of Sacred membership. We'll put the link below for you. But reflect on this, how it's working. I hope it's helpful for you. Next week, I'm going to bring forward the main tyrants and saboteurs, because those are big ones too, and we have to face them as well. So I thought it'd be best to put it in a 2-part series. But let me know if this is helpful and how you're using these archetypes and how you're developing and cultivating them within yourself and how you're bringing them out and letting them shine and reveal themselves to you, right? Because those are patterns within us, ways of behaving and operating that are really going to help us to thrive in this world. And so I hope this has been helpful to you and serves you well. And I want to thank you for participating and being here and being present. Please share and like the episode if it's been helpful, and let me know what else you want to learn about, hear about, and how else I can serve, support, and assist you. In the meantime, I'm going to sign off for now, and I am sending you so much love and, of course, wishing you your most benevolent best. All right. Farewell for now. Bye-bye. Thanks so much for listening today. If you loved the show and if you benefited in any way, if it helped you to up-level or expand your consciousness, if you gained any new insights or ideas, if it made you think or become more aware, or if there were some strategies or intuition that you may have benefited from in any way, would you please do me 2 easy and simple favors? First, if you would be willing to leave a review, it would mean the world to me. I'd be so grateful. And second, if you're willing to share this show with anyone else who would benefit, you can either post it on your social media or just email it to someone and share it with another person or any other people. It would be so awesome. This kind of thing is so helpful in expanding consciousness on the planet and helping others to benefit from this kind of teaching, which just simply isn't generally readily available in the mainstream. So sharing it really helps others benefit and helps our planet evolve and awaken. Plus, expressing gratitude and generosity in this way will also expand your capacity to give and receive even more. Either way, I just want to say thank you so much for being here and for participating and for sharing, and overall, just for being the magnificent, the spectacular, the brilliant, the fabulous, the wonderful you that you truly are, and for allowing yourself to be the very best version of you today and every day. All my love and gratitude to you.